Planning your first Camino? When you walk your first Camino, you might get a few surprises. I certainly did, and I'm going to be sharing 7 of them this week, coming right up. So I thought about what to share this week, and I thought surprises, things that I really didn't expect on my very first Camino, and I've come up with 7 of them. As I was writing them down, I thought I could probably do 50 because almost every day walking a Camino there are surprises, wonderful surprises. But here are my top 7, and if you've walked a Camino before, why not add some more down below in the comments. So here we go, 7 surprises that I found on my very first Camino. Number 1, that I made it. My very first Camino was from Saint-Jean, so it was 800 kilometers on the Camino Frances. Why was I so surprised? Well, I wasn't very fit. I was about 15 kilos overweight. I had bad knees, bad back, and lots of other things, tendonitis. And I really didn't expect to make it to the end of the Camino. And I was kind of surprised every day that I'd actually completed another day. So yeah, there's a bit of a lesson in that. If I can make it, you probably can. But yeah, I was actually surprised. Probably by about 600 Ks, I knew I was going to make it, you know, barring accidents. But up until that point, no, every day was a blessing. And yeah, truly amazing to reach Santiago. Number 2 surprise, friendships. I'd done a lot of research about the Camino, and I knew that, you know, there was lots of other pilgrims on the path and that I was likely to make friends with people. I didn't realize to what extent. And this is true. This is more true for the more popular Caminos. I mean, some of the remote ones, you might not meet many people at all. But most new pilgrims travel on one of the more popular Caminos, so the Camino Frances, Portuguese, maybe to a lesser degree, the Norte. But yeah, I was just surprised at the friendships. I mean, like every day you'd meet amazing people. You'd form really strong friendships with other, you know, a few people. Yeah, it was incredible. And I think people talk about the other pilgrims as being one of the most amazing things about walking a Camino, and it is. You meet people from all walks of life, from all backgrounds. You're hearing their stories about why they walk in the Camino. You just meet an incredible cross-section of humanity. And that's probably one of the big highlights, I think, of walking a Camino. Yeah, so why am I walking a remote one next time? That's for another reason. Okay, number 3, I really enjoyed the walking. I don't really walk at home or hike, but I really enjoyed the walking in Spain, and it had a purpose, and it was new and fresh. You know, it's not like walking around the block at home or your local park. You know, particularly on a new Camino, every day was an adventure to see, you know, what the terrain would be like and what the villages would be like. Having said that, I've walked the Camino Frances 3 times, and that surprise and joy of seeing new places might reduce a bit, but it's kind of a bit different because it's like I'm coming home as well, and I make sure that I kind of seek out places that I haven't seen before. So, but yeah, on that first one, I was just amazed that I enjoy the walking and that I could actually walk all day, 8-10 hours a day. So that was a great surprise. Number 4. So I mentioned in my particular case, on my first Camino, I started out very unfit and somewhat injured. The surprising thing I found is I just got stronger as the Camino went on. And people will always say, you know, start out slow, start out easy. Absolutely, I did. But, you know, my strength and stamina just increased, you know, to the extent that the physical aspect of the walking really wasn't a problem after a week or so. And then we come on to number 5, which is probably the biggest surprise, or one of the biggest. the emotional element, and I've spoken about this on other videos in relation to the distance or the time that you're walking. And this is quite a tricky one because I think you get into that emotional phase of the Camino probably after about a week. So if you're walking a short Camino, you may not sort of experience this. But the emotional ups and downs were, yeah, surprise, significant. There were 2 or 3 times I just really did not want to go on. And there was all sorts of stuff going on in my head. I had, things, family issues at home that other people were having to resolve because I wasn't there, and I'd left a business in the hands of someone else. And there's this incredible feeling of feeling selfish that I'd taken out all of this time to spend just on me walking the Camino. So it really was an emotional roller coaster, and I didn't expect that. But it was good as well, because I think by about halfway, probably by about, can't remember where, about halfway, I was really getting down in the dumps for a day or two and considering going home. And I actually ended up sitting on a mountaintop somewhere and basically telling myself off, pull yourself together, Rob. Gave myself a virtual kick up the backside and sort of resolved to get on with it. And that was a really interesting sort of mindset lesson in overcoming, emotional hurdles and things like that. So yeah, that was a real surprise, but a good one. Number 6, yeah, this was probably equally big, the spiritual side of the Camino. Now, I'm not going to sort of start preaching religion. Maybe you're religious, maybe you're not. I don't call myself religious. I don't follow a formal religion. I don't go to church services. I don't follow the sort of routines and rituals of a formal religion. But I've always thought of myself as spiritual, kind of a believer that there's probably, a greater being somewhere. And to that extent, I've always loved visiting, churches and monasteries. I love going into Buddhist monasteries. They're places that just seem to exude peace and serenity. I kind of just like the environment, knowing nothing about the sort of formal religion. So what I found walking the Camino is all of that sort of came to the surface big time. And if you have an ounce of spirituality, you'll probably find the same thing. Why? Well, you're walking a 1,000-year-old pilgrimage route, a religious pilgrimage route. You are passing churches, hundreds of years old, churches built by the Knights Templar and others. You are walking on Roman roads, thousands of years old, 2,000 years old probably. You're seeing wayside crosses all the way. You're seeing memorials to people along the way. And it is very, very hard not to kind of, well, how would I put it? It's very hard not to be influenced by that in a really positive way. And yeah, I will confess, why am I feeling awkward about it? I don't know. I really ramped up the sort of spiritual part of me during that. And I sat on mountaintops talking to God. Do I do it at home? No, not really. Why do I do it there? Probably being a bit hypocritical. But I often say to people, walking the Camino for me is like, the Camino Frances is like an 800-kilometre church. It's like a walking meditation. And it's a place where I can feel at peace with the world around me, with whoever is up there. And that's one of the things that probably keeps drawing me back. So that spirituality element was way off the scale. And then finally, number 7. What was the 7th surprise? It was that not only, where was I? I think I was about 2 or 3 days out from Santiago, and I was contemplating walking to the coast, but actually I was so injured by then from pre-existing injuries that was absolutely impossible. But the big surprise was walking into Santiago, and I think I probably knew this during the previous 2 weeks was that I was already planning the next Camino. And that happens to so many people. Not everyone, but it happens to a lot of people. You just feel the journey has been so fulfilling, and it's all about the journey, not the destination, that you want it again. It's Rebecca Scott. Was it Rebecca Scott who wrote this book? No, I don't think it was Rebecca. But it was something like, the title of the book was The Camino, God's Cocaine. You get a high on it, I think, almost. And you want that peace and serenity and, you know, all those sort of wonderful emotions that go with walking the Camino, and you want it back. And that's why I think people return time and time again. It's why people walk 10, 20 Caminos. It's why I'm planning my 4th. And going back to the earlier point 2, when I was saying that, you know, the friendships, because there's so many other people around you, why then am I going to go and walk a more remote one? My next one, I'm hoping, will be the Via de la Plata, because I want to experience that emotional and spiritual element a lot deeper. And I found on my previous Caminos, the days that I was walking alone with no one else in sight, that was much more powerful. And so I'm going to kind of go to the other end of the scale and walk a Camino where I probably won't meet many people at all. See how it goes. Maybe after a week I'll skip back up to the Camino Frances, but that's the plan anyway. So there we go, 7 surprises, all great surprises. What other surprises did you find if you have walked a Camino before? Maybe comment down below. And if you're planning your first Camino, I'm so jealous. Have a wonderful time, and thank you for watching, and see you next week. Bye for now.